Hello everyone, this is Alien Reddit Stories, where I tell alien stories off of Reddit. Let's just get into it. Today it's gonna be a different kind of a show. We're gonna do 3 short videos, one after the other. 3 short stories. Maybe add a little pace to this. Story number 1. It was around 3:50 a.m. I'm a night person, so I usually sleep around that time. It was starting to rain outside and there was a loud, constant gust of wind blowing through the cracks near my window. It was eerie and I had a weird feeling that something bad was going to happen. I looked out the window and noticed nothing amiss, except that the trees were swaying pretty violently and that one of the trees got uprooted. I turned back and saw 2 aliens by my door. They looked haggard and their backs were bent. They also did not have any limbs, and their heads moved mechanically, as if they were automatons. I noticed that the door was closed, so I had presumed that they had just walked through or teleported straight into my room. They were talking in some strange language that seemed to be half human and half alien. The next thing I knew, I was being tied up in some giant opaque plastic bag. There were holes so I could breathe. Somehow, I fell into a deep and peaceful trance. I think he meant fell. When I woke up, I was in this foreign space. I could see through the holes in the plastic bag. It was as if I was in the sky and everything was floating. Then I heard footsteps. The ringleader, I presume, came to inspect me. He unzipped the bag, and the moment he saw my face, he let out an audible "ew" and immediately zipped me back up. The next thing I knew, I was back in my bed. Well, that was crushing. Imagine being told "ew" by aliens. Oh, poor guy. Story 2. Coming back from ice fishing, the last day of the year to have ice houses on the lake. My father, sister, and I were in his truck, and his friend was towing the ice house. We were coming around the corner, and his friend was a little way back. I remember watching the headlights disappear around the corner in the passenger mirror. A few seconds later, I looked at the little air intake a lot of vehicles in the 80s and 90s had. You could pull a lever and get some fresh airflow. I looked at that and thought everything was glowing, like I could see all the melting snow on the floor and all around the floor where my feet were. I thought it was crazy bizarre, so I looked up to my father to tell him, and he was looking straight forward, white knuckling the steering wheel, and all around the vehicle there was a white light. Not really blinding bright, but like all the windows were frosted and it was daylight out. I kind of shouted, maybe more concerned than anything, "Dad!" I said this a few times, and then the light disappeared and we were just stopped around the corner where his friend's headlights disappeared. He looked to be in shock and said, I think we lost Ron. Let's turn around here and see what happened." We turned around at a field, approached right after the corner, and drove 5 minutes back to the lake, and his friend wasn't there. Then we drove home and his friend was there. The ice house was already backed into the spot next to our garage, and his friend seemed worried. The ice house was big and hard to back into the little spot with just one person, and Ron was already had it in place, jacked up on blocks. He said he was coming to look for us since we were almost an hour late. Traveling back to the lake to look for his friend was only a 10-minute drive round trip. Pretty sure we had all got abducted that night. I was genuinely abducted by aliens. This isn't a joke. Story number 3. I was driving at night on my own down the M62 motorway in the UK around 3 a.m. for a job I was working. Next thing I know, it's 5 a.m. 2 hours had gone nowhere. I thought I was going mad or something, and when I got home I went to bed. Anyways, when in bed, I dreamed about what happened and it came back to me. On the alien craft, they put me in a room and I was lying on the floor. My man juice was taken from me, but I wasn't enjoying it, for lack of words. Come on, buddy, really, seriously? That why would you be enjoying it? You know what? You went through a traumatic thing. Then they put an injection into my arm, which was this red, rusty-like liquid. I think this was to monitor me. Every few weeks or so, I'll wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. and I know I've been back there, but can never remember it. Sometimes I get a feeling that I've been visited or I'm about to be visited. It's not fun. Nobody believes me. But what they're doing to us is using our genetic makeup to populate other planets with hybrids beings. on that terrifying note, I don't want to. I shudder at the thought. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, like button, and that bell button. And I'll see you next time on Alien Reddit Stories.